Okay, good afternoon everyone. How are you guys doing? Slight pause, uncomfortable pause there. But hey guys, thank you very much for taking the time to come to this event. I promise you that this will be something that all of you will find very useful, as I did when I went through and read the book, The Rule of 24. So for those of you I have not met yet, my name is Moni Satnani, and I represent the Two-Win Global organization here in Singapore and in the region as well. We have to firstly give great thanks to our friends at Verizon for allowing us to make use of this space. So I know that some of you guys from Verizon, thank you very much. Awesome space you have over here. Very collaborative, so it's perfect for the topic that Bob is going to speak to you about in a few moments. So I don't want to take too much time, but let me just do a quick introduction on Bob. So Bob Riefstahl is the founder of Two-Win Global, based out of Colorado Springs in the United States. Two-Win Global is an organization that was founded about 17 years ago, and an organization that works with more than half of the Fortune 500 organizations around enablement of helping these organizations be better at presenting their solutions and services. So whether you're in tech, whether you're in the business of selling complicated or complex solutions, Two-Win Global has had some hand in helping your sales guys, your field engineers, your pre-sales solution architects become a lot better at positioning certain solutions and different products. Bob wrote a book right around the time you started, Bob, Demonstrating the Win. This is a renowned international bestseller that talks about every aspect of crimes and bad habits that many of us make, no matter how experienced we are in the corporate world when we are interacting with our clients, when we are interacting with our prospective clients. And since then, many organizations have picked up that book, Demonstrating the Win. I have read it and use it as a Bible till this very day because there are so many elements of such basic common sense that I can apply to my everyday life. Sometimes to the frustration of my friends and family members in terms of how I so pedantically apply some of those techniques. But hey, it's worked really wonders for me, and I'm sure any of you who've had a chance to read the book, or if you ever had a chance to read the book, please do so because that's something that you can learn a lot from. Now, about a few months ago, Bob and the CEO of Two-Win Global, Dan Conway, released their second book, Bob's second book actually, called The Rule of 24. And we are fortunate that Bob's actually made Singapore one of his stops on his world tour in the last couple of months. So we thought since he was out here, even though he's spending a bit of vacation time with his son, we would make use of his expertise and experience to come and share some of the insights from that particular book. So Bob, I'll just hand over to Bob, and guys, this is, as you can see with the layout over here, open forum, open concept. Let's not make it too formal. Anytime you guys have any thoughts, questions, any clarifications required, please feel free to jump right in and we'll try our best. Paul will obviously be the person to answer all of those questions. Yeah? Great. Paul, over to you.
Out of curiosity, raise your hand if you're familiar with a sport, a sailing sport, or sailing competition called the America's Cup. If you've heard of this, okay, a number of you have. I want to start the presentation off with the video, and I'll explain why in a moment. Right? So watch this video just to get a sense of what's happened in the sport of sailing. Sailing's changed a little bit. When this sport was first begun, it actually started in 1851 that's a picture, an image of the first boat that went. It went about 11 knots. So call it 16, 17 kilometers. Okay. Roll the clock forward from 1851 to 2007, and with all the technology and advancements, they went from 11 knots to 15 knots on average. So, not a lot of difference, I think, but they went a lot faster. The last America's Cup, the boats changed. They changed the rules. They said instead of it being a single hull boat, you could have multiple hulls, catamarans. And that changed everything in how the whole design worked. And in fact, they clocked the boats at 50 knots, which is actually 93 kilometers an hour. So, I mean, think about that. In 10 years, it went from 15, right? 15, 20 kilometers an hour, all the way up to 93. The boats fly over the top of the water. They go 2.5 times the speed of the wind. Figure out that in engineering. So what does that really have to do with what we do in B2B and selling? And I'll say this. I've made my career in selling for a number of years. And sales processes are kind of like the traditional sailboats. They've adjusted a little bit, they've trimmed them, they've put different ideas into them. But I mean, be truthful. Is it really, are sales processes today really that different than they were 30 years ago? They really aren't. They're pretty much the same thing. And the problem with that is our sense of buying, whether you're a B2B seller or a B2B buyer, B2B buyers are buying a lot differently than they used to, and sales processes as a whole just aren't as effective and applicable. Things have changed a lot. We did quite a bit of research and came out with this idea, and I came up with the name Rule of 24, and here's why. If you remember, really not that long ago, call it 5 years ago, if you were going to engage with a client and it was a major acquisition on their part, and they said you're a finalist, so it's a big decision on their part, you're a finalist, you would probably get 2 to 3 weeks. A number of years ago, you get 2 to 3 weeks to prepare and get the presentation ready and present. So I called it 24 days. And I'm taking more of a traditional software ERP approach or a big ticket purchase. It's changed a lot, so that when they call now and they say we're ready or you're a finalist, they've already done a lot of research. And now they expect responses back in 24 hours or within an hour or in 2.5 seconds. It's really changing rapidly. And there's a lot of reasons for the change. I mean, everything from who they are and what their perspective is, and I'll talk about that in a moment. So I had this sense of the market was really changing a lot. From our perch, if you will, of training these large companies around the world in their sales processes, we had an interesting perspective of things that we were hearing from these different clients all over the world of how all this was compressing and how the demands of B2B buyers have changed a lot. So we did a survey. And we surveyed a global audience of sales and pre-sales professionals. And 59% of people agree with this statement, which was compared to 4 years ago, B2B buyers are more directed in what they want to see in a demo or presentation. So you know what I'm talking about? Like, you're in a presentation with a client, and you have a plan, you've got a deck that you want to go through, or a plan of what you want to show them, but they're interrupting a lot. They're being more directive of what they want to see. So that's a trend. Okay? We also learned that 68% of the respondents believe B2B buyers are more educated on the solutions prior to the demo or the presentation. Well, that's why they're more directed, right? That was the follow-on. So they're more directed because they're more educated. Well, let me pause. If you go to make a major purchase on your own, forget B2B, B2C, right? You are a consumer. You're going to make a major purchase on your own. Would you say you are more educated or less educated than you were 4 years ago based upon what's available to you? How many say more educated? Right? So, if you actually go to a store, do something weird like go to a store instead of buying it online, and you speak to somebody, do you want them to give you the pitch end to end? No. It's like, no, I've got 3 questions. Does it do this, this, and this? If it does that, I'll buy it. If it doesn't, I won't, So we take those behaviors, and our buyers take those behaviors. It's only natural in the B2B purchasing. So the trends speak for themselves, and we'll provide some more evidence in a moment. So why is this happening? Well, we alluded to some of this already. Look at the experience that we have as consumers, right, and buyers have when it comes to technology experience, and how we're empowered on research, and how the generational aspects, right, the silver tsunami is going away, and a lot of the millennials are coming in and taking over a lot of those roles. They don't have the patience that we always had. SaaS and products as a service as well creates a situation where clients can turn over quickly. So that was another element of this that really hasn't been researched a lot, that we spend some time on, which is once somebody is a client, and you have a client success team that's responsible for getting the renewals, how does this impact them? Well, it has a huge impact on it, because client success isn't just going to be about building relationships with people. It's really more about getting them to use more of the products or more of the services and present and make sure they sense the value all the time. So Rule of 24 kind of covers every client engagement, when you think about it, from the beginning of them having interest in you all the way to their client and client engagement. So what do we do? We've got a B2B buying world that's tumultuous, that's turning over. So what do you do about it? So I want to give you some highlights of what we wrote about in the book, just to give you a sense of some ideas and tactics, so that you leave here with just some fresh ideas that you can really implement. Okay? I want to cover 3 areas. So I'll touch on 3 areas that are covered in the book. We have a number of areas, but I'll touch on 3. One is, how can you leverage recorded video to your advantage when it comes to a Rule of 24 situation? Right? What I mean by situation is, you're engaging, and they want some information quickly. They want you to have the answers quickly, and they want you to be able to present something quickly, or give them help quickly. So how can we use and leverage recorded video to do that? Second, we'll talk a little bit about the potential power of virtual presentations and how bad they can become. And we don't even know how bad they are. We just live with it. And I'll give you some evidence of how bad they really are and how you can change them. Okay? And then finally, when it's an in-person interaction, why even in-person interactions have changed dramatically. How you can't be as formal in your plan and executing your plan in front of the client like you used to be able to be. How you have to be more agile in order to be successful. What you can do about that. So I want to start with recorded video. Okay. So when it comes to recorded video, 86% of respondents said that when they are researching a product, and informative demo videos are available. I find they help me gain an understanding of the product and its key features. So I'll go back to you guys. 9 out of 10 people have that perspective. Do you? Out of curiosity. If a product video is available, and you go to buy something, and you click on it, and it's not a promo video. It actually tells you something about the product. It's not the stick man that does the chalkboard thing. It actually shows you something. How many people in here think it's helpful? Raise your hand if you think it is. Yeah. How many people in here, in your corporate world and in the world that you're in, leverage video and send video out to clients when they want information? See what's going on here? 5 hands. We have to change that. In order to be successful, we've got to think about how can we leverage recorded video. I did a search, and there's a story behind this, but I did a search for Microsoft Dynamics on YouTube. So when we think recorded video, we think, oh, there's a YouTube available. Like, I use YouTubes all the time when I need help with something, like how to change out a light socket, or how to, it's great for that. It hasn't killed me yet, so I'm happy with it. So I did the same thing for Microsoft Dynamics. Microsoft has an accounting product called Dynamics. In CRM, it does all that type of thing. And this is the kind of results that came back when I typed that in on YouTube. This one was a competitor of who the partner was. This one was 6 years old. 6 years old? A product video? I mean, how many times has the product changed in 6 years? If somebody watches that, that's damaging. Okay? There was another one that was 39 minutes long. Now, product video is available to you and it's 39 minutes long. How many people are going to sit there for 39 minutes to watch a product video? So that should tell you something. When you think, well, we'll record the webinar and we'll put it up on the web and people can watch it. You think people watch those? End to end? That's risky. Our attention span's not like that anymore. You know, one of the global experts in research, I would say, for B2B is CEB, right? How many people are familiar with CEB, the Corporate Executive Board? So they have found that there are 7.4 people now on average involved in a B2B decision. 7.5 people are involved in a decision, okay? And that the biggest challenge for buying groups is not in selecting the supplier, but just figuring out what it is that they're trying to solve. They got to agree on the problem. Go back to the YouTube image for a second. Every one of those 7.5 people, if they think video is helpful to them, they go to YouTube. If they don't know any better, they go to YouTube. They do a search. They all get a different answer. They all get a different solution. Everybody comes in to make a decision, and it's chaos in the room. That's how we're letting them select us. That's scary. Okay? You need to have better control of that. So there are a couple of video strategies. If you think about it, there's the passive strategy, which is basically you're going to put a lot of video up on the website, you're going to put a lot of video on YouTube, and it's very passive. Nothing wrong with that. As long as you can control the channel and it's current stuff and it's made the right way, that's a good strategy to have. If you're in B2B sales, though, and your buyers, there's 7.5 of them, and they can't agree on the problem, okay? Or it's renewal time and you're in client success, and there's 7.5 people involved in deciding, do we keep this vendor or not? I don't know about you, but I don't want to give that much control to the buyers. I want to channel it. I want it to be about the message that I believe they can make a decision on. It's something that's compelling. So, you know, from a passive perspective, open's great, but it's uncontrolled. And the other thing is it's invisible. What do I mean by that? You don't know who watched it. Did all of them watch it? The 7.5 people? Did one of them? Who watched it? You don't know. If you take an active strategy, you can channel or focus what you want them to pay attention to. You can take the information that they get and manage the information. So I'm not controlling them, but at least providing guidance to what it is I want them to watch. And know who watched what. Because a good video automation tool will track the different people that watched it and who they shared it with. Video automation tools put cookies on a browser. It's a pretty simple thing, and it can actually track and see who's watching. Okay? It doesn't always give you the name of the person, but you know who's, generally speaking, who's watching the videos. You know the name of the person, though, if you send it to them. The moment they watch it, you know that. So which do you want in sales? You want marketing to handle the passive. You want to handle the active. That's my message to you. So in Rule of 24, we talk about that a lot. Not only the idea of a video automation tool and using a tool to do that, but also how to use a tool for tracking what to look for in a tool, and the different types of videos to create. Okay. So, for example, we had a situation where Microsoft in Europe was having a big event. Unfortunately, we found out about it late. We knew we should be there. So we reached out to the board and decided who the speakers were. And I created a personal video at the front end and it addressed all the board members by name. Okay? Included with that an example of me speaking. So it was not just that video, but the second video in the playlist was a speech example. They watched it in both videos, and then I got a notification back that said what exactly they watched, how much time they spent watching it, and where the people were located. So I knew which board members watched it. So who do you think I called? Right? We called right away. Like I didn't wait a week. Rule of 24. They watched it. We contacted them. We did the speech. $10,000. Boom. Right? This is real doable in using a tool like this. They work great. Now here's the thing with recorded video. A lot of organizations don't have a lot of depth of content in recorded video because of, well, what would be a reason why your organization doesn't have a lot of depth of content of video? What would be one reason? Anyway.
Too scared to create video content.
Sure, absolutely.
And worried about the product.
Yeah. So you got to make sure it's a really good video, right?
Yeah.
And I'm one of those books.
Whoa.
Thanks for participating. Are you catching on to this now? Everybody else catching on to this? All right. Other reasons? Why don't you have depth of content? Why don't you guys have depth of content? So you don't have enough people creating it. So it's expensive and involved to create content, right? Okay.
It's a new medium people are not ready for.
It's a new medium that people aren't necessarily ready for.
They have white papers, but question people will find it.
They're used to white papers, aren't they?
White paper, data sheets.
So I'm going to challenge a comment that you made. You're not ready for it. How many people in here raised their hand when they said videos are helpful? Yeah. Right? So it's a perspective that we have. You know? So when it comes to creating content, yeah, you just walk around that. This is Bennett, by the way. He just completed all 4 parts of the CPA exam in the U.S. in one try. Give him a hand. So we've got to balance speed and quality in creating videos. And part of that is expense, right? So in order to create things rapidly, you immediately think you give up quality. But here's the thing that a lot of us appreciate about watching a how-to YouTube video. The people that make them are real. Like, they use their phone. And I still figured out how to change out the light switch. You know? They they used their phone and they showed me exactly where on a Toyota RAV4 the darn oil filter is underneath, what tool you needed, and what size. It had to be 17 millimeters socket to get that off with their phone. I don't care if it's built by the marketing department with music on the outside and all that. What I want is depth of content. Okay? So it's a little bit courageous to accept that, but it's the truth. It's what people are looking for. So in speed, you need quick production. You need to be able to share things quickly, and you want instant notifications, right? That's the speed side of it. On the quality side, what you want is something that's personalized. I mean, it's nice if somebody sends you a video along with a product video, like I did to the board members at the Microsoft event, where I introduce myself, address them by name, and they're like, okay, I'll watch this. It's short, I did 60 seconds or less, and that introduces, from a context perspective, what's about to follow.
Some of the problems I face is, obviously we don't have the right tools or easy way of the code. The larger problem I get is managing the whole compliance aspect.
Managing
The whole compliance aspect, don't use the branding. and
Oh,
certain
yeah. Marketing compliance can be a real challenge because they want a certain bumper at the front end of it. It's always got the logo and the right music.
The same font, the same background.
They want the same
all that.
placement of the logo, the colors that need to be compliant. Okay? So, great question. So how do you get around that, in terms of compliance? One of the great things about video development now is you can take a stock, it's called a bumper. The bumper on a front end of a video is the intro, if you will. And marketing likes to have a consistent bumper to that. It needs to be really short, like a couple of seconds. Otherwise you lose the audience. They're like, I watched the third video, I'm tired of their intro. So it's a short little bumper. You get marketing to sign off on the compliance of that. And then if you're using slides or you're on camera, then just make sure you've got their backgrounds that they approve of. What we have to work on is you need sales leadership to step up to say, we have to be able to do things quickly here to address the buyers going forward. So we can't run everything by you. It can't happen. But we will agree to always put that bumper on the front end. Right? Now, if you're in a business that's highly regulated on what you can say, different issue. Like you're in the medical field and it's highly regulated. You can't say, this will save your life. You save everybody's life. Some things you can't do. So, the other thing about video content is it's a little bit like boats. There's a lot of different types. You've got everything from categories, and I address this in the book, of how to develop video in all these different categories. Everything from an impact video that's really directed more at an executive and management of the value, if you will, of making the change, to demo videos, to tutorials, which are great for client success. People love those, especially if they're short. Testimonials and case studies, and they need to be formulated and created in a consistent manner. But if you, I promise you, if you read the book, the formulas are all there for every one of these types of videos that has been proven that are effective. It works great. Okay? Give you an example. Demo video. Demo video should always start off with some type of connection with the audience out front to help build trust. Same thing with a personal video. A personal video, I'd actually call someone by name, right at the front end of the video. On a demo video, I'm going to build trust by connecting with what their issue probably is, the pain of why they'd be watching this video. Would I do that in a tutorial video? No. Tutorial video, they're looking for education. So you do it differently. And at the opening, you set the context. And you do this on camera. People want to know there's somebody behind this. So you put the person on camera. It's a webcam. She's using a webcam here. It's not with a couple of flat lights, inexpensive box light. They're $95 each. Okay, not a lot of expense here. She sets the context of what it is that's to follow. Then the content actually plays. So if it's a demo or a presentation of the product, or you're showing features of the product, then you do that. Then you finish with either a call to action, or summarizing the benefit of why they just watched it. And it's crisp. And it's a cookie cutter. And you can build these rapidly. And the connection and the call to action or the next steps you want them to take stay the same. If the middle changes, if your product gets updated, you need to reshoot that piece, you just swap out the middle, put a new middle. That's how we can do it rapidly. So you can do it inexpensively. You don't need a huge team to do it. You can use your subject matter experts to make things. That's what we encourage. Using your own people and subject matter experts. So that's the bumper at the front end. It's got the tell in it. The middle showing the product. This is a video timeline. And then the end has got a summary of the benefits, all to action. Okay. So leveraging video can be used in business development. It provides great quality. You can use it before a presentation. Give you an example. Your team's going in to give a presentation. Whoever's leading the team makes a personal video, introduces the team members. And the overview portion of the presentation is actually covered in the video. And you send that to everybody that's going to be at the event. You see that they've watched it. You show up at the event. You now have star power. They're like, yeah, I saw you on the video. Well, hopefully they don't see you. Just kidding. And now you got star power. And they've watched at the beginning, so you can focus your time instead of on introductions and overviews and here's who my company is and all that stuff. You can use all that time for what your differentiators are. Right? Rule of 24, you take advantage of the time that you have. So, virtual presentations. We're going to switch, make a big switch here. Okay? Little stat. When I'm on the receiving end of a web demo or presentation, I find it difficult to. 3/4 of the people said multitask. Now, I don't mean to be overly American here, but that should scare the shit out of me. They're multitasking. They're not paying attention to what's going on. Half of the people said it's really difficult to freely interact. Like they want to ask a question, or they find it difficult to figure out how to interact with the person. And another half found it difficult to even connect with the presenter. Like, who is this person on the other side of the web presentation? This stuff is so unbelievably easy to fix. Okay? Would you like to know how to fix it? Drive engagement. Get somebody on the web. There's a lot of ways to drive engagement. For example, audio. Weakest link in a web presentation. Make sure you've got a really good headset. Okay? It's a digital, good quality headset. So that at least on the receiving end, they hear you really clearly. That helps so much with language barriers. They have a really good quality headset. Use chat. You know that kind of uncomfortable time where it's the beginning of the web presentation and you don't know if you should wait 5 extra minutes for the latecomers to come on the web presentation. You don't really know what to do during that time. Well, if you don't find something for them to do, guess what they're going to start doing? Very beginning, you've trained them to multitask. So when somebody comes on, here's a great thing, just a quick suggestion. Oh, hey, glad you could join us, Elliot. Where are you? Anyway, oh, there you are. Glad you could join us, Elliot, because I see Elliot come up. Glad you could join us, Elliot. Would you mind, click on the chat button and just chat one thing you want to get out of the presentation. Now, I've engaged him, and And I've also gotten something out of that, right? Now, you could say, well, would it be chat something that I wasn't planning on covering? Well, always better to know that at the beginning than get done with the presentation and you didn't cover what Elliot wanted to cover. So, chat's a really good thing. If it's more of a webinar-ish thing, you should have polls, absolutely polls every 5 minutes. Have something you're going to poll them on, or some type of engagement. Okay, annotating the screen. When you've got the screen up, one of the beautiful things about a web presentation, as opposed to a live one, is it's very easy to annotate. Circle something. If you have a touch screen on your computer, you can simply circle something, and it annotates. Okay, so no big deal. Why is that a big deal? What's limbic? An area of your brain that called the limbic system. It's just looking for things to pay attention to. When people get bored, their limbic system checks out and goes to their email. And they alt-tab and they're now doing their email. So if I can keep them engaged with things like annotating, using a whiteboard, using people's names. So, your first name again was? Got it? Yeah. So, I'm on the web presentation, and I want to make sure that Badit is paying attention, like I'm engaging. So, he's on my roster. I know he's in the presentation. I can see it on the screen. I've got everybody that's logged in. I say, I finish a section, and I say, Badit, I want to ask you a question. And I pause. Then I ask him the question. Why did I use his name first? Guesses it. People hear their name, immediate attention. If you were multitasking, I could promise you aren't multitasking anymore. You just heard your name. Okay? It's called task switching. A PhD at Stanford University in the United States did an extensive study with students at Stanford. 450 students got to volunteer for this test. Not what a test was, a study. And he asked for heavy multitaskers. Okay, now think about this for a minute. You have a group of 18-year-olds, and he's asking for heavy multitaskers. Do you think he got a lot of volunteers? Like, they're proud of the fact that they can listen to a lecture, be on Instagram, send it to Snapchat, and then get it all. Or, oh no, I'm a professional multitasker. At the conclusion of the study, he determined that multitasking, and this is a quote, is a myth. He said there's no such thing as multitasking. Yes, you can do more than one thing at once, but you cannot focus on more than one thing at once. And the only way you can is if you task switch. So if you use somebody's name first, they task switch. The pause gives them time to get their head out of what they're in to come back on. So you use the roster and you start going through people's names. Every time you want to engage, you use somebody else's name. And if they aren't, if all you get is silence back when you use their name, everybody else is uncomfortable now. And they realize that this person was not paying attention, but they're going to be ready when you call their name. Because they don't want to be that person that's embarrassed. See what happens here? Really good things happen when you do this. So, great technique for getting people involved. Last one I'll mention, right here. When you're on a web presentation or a web call, how many people in here use your webcam when you're doing a presentation to a client? Okay. Absolutely, use your webcam. One of the things you can do is use it strategically. So at the opening of the presentation, when you want them to pay attention to you, you turn on your webcam. Okay? When you want them to switch their attention to your content, the material that you're presenting, go off camera. When you're about to ask somebody a question or you want to have a discussion, go back on camera. It's just like turning the screen black. If I don't want you to pay attention to the screen anymore, I'll just come over here and turn it black. You can't look at the screen anymore. You have to look at me. You have to. Probably. Yes.
Yeah, what about the webcam is great, but you want the attendees to have their webcam as well?
I love it when attendees have their webcam.
But sometimes they don't.
But sometimes
they
they
just
don't.
showing they have, they have a webcam on their phone,
But they won't do it.
because they're multitasking, they don't want to see them looking at their keyboard. So how do you engage them to actually put their webcam?
Turn their camera on. I know it's
Really
frustrating.
crazy. Yeah.
So, which is why you need all those other engagement techniques, because obviously we can't dictate to a buyer, you have to turn your camera on. I'm not going to start unless you turn your camera on. Right? A lot of people won't do it. But interestingly, what happens though over time is you use your camera more and you prompt them to do more. You do start to train them, and they'll actually say at the start of the presentation, it's a transitional thing. I can't have my camera on today because I'm at home. I know you like to be on camera. And then eventually you'll get them. You know, but I totally understand where you're going. Yeah. So for virtual presentations, you combine it now with recorded video, okay? And use virtual presentations. We're coming closer and closer to what buyers want. Right? They don't say they want an engaging virtual presentation, but who doesn't? You know, who doesn't want to be engaged in that? You don't want to multitask unless it's an internal meeting and you don't care about it. But if you're buying something, you don't want to multitask. They don't want to. They're just drawn to it because we let them get drawn to it. So good things happen by engaging and connecting in virtual presentations. So I spent quite a bit of time in the book, a whole chapter on virtual presentations, and a lot of different suggestions and tips and things that you can do to make those more impactful and effective. Then the last part is in-person presentations. And the question was asked, compared to 4 years ago, the amount of time I have to prepare for a significant product demo or presentation is decreased by, so these are sales and pre-sales professionals, and the average was 42%. Now what was interesting about this is we asked another question that was all about how much has your discovery, your opportunity to perform discovery, ask questions ahead of the presentation, been reduced. And what was surprising was most people said it really hasn't changed a lot. I still have the ability to ask people what it is they want to see and what they're most interested in. But I've got less time to prepare. And the other part of that we asked was, okay, you're getting about the same amount of time in discovery. Are you getting to speak to as many people as you used to get to speak to? And the answer was absolutely not. So what's happening is you're getting channeled or funneled, a lot of people anyway, are getting channeled or funneled to speak to less people that are speaking on behalf of all these people hidden behind them. So we go into a presentation with what we refer to as underknown information. Like we have ideas of what we think based upon what we ask, but we didn't talk to everybody. So what we have is underknown. That means with less time to prepare and underknown information, what has to happen in the presentation? Especially when they're direct. The presentation is generic. You start presenting generic. And now why are they more directive? Because we're presenting generic. Right? That means, what's it, collaborating? Thank you. That means in those more directive, less or more generic situations, I have to be more agile. You have to do discovery in the event. It can't be, here's everything that we know. That event has to be interactive. I have to have the courage and the knowledge and the skills to be able to be more agile. So it might look like this, right? I show something, I stop, and I say, let me ask you about its applicability to you. From what you saw, did that fit what you were looking for? No? Okay, let's talk about that a little bit. So then I draw out of it. And then before I go to the next piece, I ask a couple of questions, and then I adjust on what I'm going to show them based upon their answers. It's all about agility. Now, is that presentation going to be as good as we used to be able to do 4 years ago when we knew everything about them and we could prepare a presentation? Probably not, but they don't care. Because they came into the room with 6 questions, 6 things they wanted to learn, and I need to be agile enough to be able to adapt to that. So in-person means being really effective in front of the audience. You got more stakeholders involved, you have less discovery, and less time to prepare. That's a challenging situation. So it becomes about having a plan and control, going from plan and control presentation to, back up a second, to plan and responsive. Did you catch that? Plan and control versus planned and responsive. So I have to adapt. How many of you in here are familiar with something called, who took physics? Remember it at all, or any of it? There was an experiment we all had to do in physics, I remember it, called Barton's principle. Everybody remember this? That's all. So I'm going to show you a video of my backyard, okay, where I do Barton's principle. It's kind of a fun video. So, see these pails? So they're all on different lengths. See that? I'm going to grab that pail right there. I'm going to swing it. Now watch what happens. Watch all the pails. Now they're bouncing, but watch what happens. Watch this red pail right here. Right there. Right, that one right there. See it? It's synchronizing with the other pail, but the other ones are chaos. So what? What the hell does that have to do with anything, right? Well, let me explain. So with the pails, to me, it's all about finding resonance with each type of stakeholder. Like if you think about it, there's 7.5 people in the decision. Some of the people are staff. They do the job every day. Some of the people in the decision are managers. Some of the people, there's probably an executive involved that has the financial aspects in mind. What's the value? In a live presentation, same thing virtual too, really. I have to find resonance with each one of those pails, right? So operations is going to be the majority of the people in the room. They're going to care about the impact on their job, right? Whereas managers are going to care about their team's productivity, and the executive is going to care about achieving their strategic goals. So I can't be one pail swinging there, giving a generic presentation about the product or the solution. I have to figure out in the room who are the different audiences there and find the resonance with each of them. Make sense? That's about being agile. We have to get better at that, in being able to establish that. So that means that the discovery I do in the room has to be agile. I need to ask a leading question ahead of showing something, do discovery on the fly, and then respond or tailor the presentation against that. And then I have to be able to be agile enough and effective enough to say to the staff something as simple as, you can see how much faster you can do this than you used to do, how much easier it was. And then I turn to the manager and I say, why on? That's why your team can really increase its productivity. And Elliot, from an executive perspective, that if we can get the entire team productive, doing things like that over and over again, that's going to help achieve that strategic goal that you're after. That's what I mean by agile. Yes, David.
Question. That's the median around time it takes to prepare presentations. I was used to 50%. But two points here. One is, here you're saying that the agile in the presentation reflects the audience. And second, to also try to find resonance of the audience also could be applied and some research on how.
Correct.
Doesn't that make
how you adapt that content, the age-old balance of here's a deck or put the deck aside and talk, right? And figure out who you can talk, but you need to know who.
You do.
So doesn't that take more time than supposed to be less time?
Yes, it does take more time. So did everybody hear him? Okay, they didn't hear you back. So what he was observing is that if you have less time to prepare, okay, yet you need to know who's in the room, and you need to be able to be agile with the people that are in the room. How are you going to be able to do that if you have less time to prepare? That's sort of a short version, I think. Is that essentially your observation? Yeah. So that means we need to think about our research ahead of a presentation a little bit differently. It used to be the subject matter experts spent all of their time getting all the data or all the examples or all the things that they want to show ready. And the salesperson spent all of their time satisfying management of where it is in the sales process and all that. I'm oversimplifying a bit, but yeah, it's the truth. So this becomes more of a different set of priorities. I'm shifting my time, the less time that I have to prepare, knowing that my subject matter experts are going to have generic things that they are going to show, but adapt the messaging of those generic things to the audience. My salesperson needs to be the person that knows who's going to be in the room and make sure that everybody else knows who they are, which great resources for that, of course, are LinkedIn. Because the nice thing about LinkedIn is almost everybody puts a picture on LinkedIn. Snipping tool, grab their picture. Here's all the people that are going to be in the presentation. Make sure you recognize in particular the executive. So it shifts the preparation time and where you put priority. Does that answer your question, John? Okay. So when it comes to in these in-person situations, you have the ability to leverage recorded video ahead of even the in-person presentation. Remember the example I started off with early on? So being able to leverage video, and then now that they've watched it, now I can, with the proper research, establish resonance with the different people in the room, and really make that effective by being agile during the actual day. So in the book, again, I spent quite a bit of time in the book, not only on how to do that in a live event, but also, to your point, the teamwork aspects. What does the teamwork need to look like in order to pull this off? Okay. Now, that changes depending upon a lot of factors, as we all know. The size of transaction. If it's a lot of smaller transactions, you don't have a big team going after small transactions. Probably have one person really doing all of it. Okay. To the very largest of opportunities where you need a lot of teamwork in order to make it successful. So we talk about all of that, as well as whether you're a huge corporation or a startup, how do you execute on this? Like from an organizational perspective, how do you take the pieces that are going to be most valuable to you and execute them? So we spend time in the book on that. Yes?
So I get how each of these individuals work. How do we see them look like is my question. So if we have an in-person interaction session planned next week, do we send the recorded video first as an introductory to warm them up, or is it a follow-through session after we've done the presentation? How do we sequence this?
Yes and yes. Send it ahead of time. It warms up the audience and lets you get the overview pieces. Let them watch all that at their leisure. Okay? Then you do the virtual presentation. Then it is so powerful and differentiating. It creates a different experience in the minds of the people receiving this. If you create a personal video as a follow-up, just right after you're done with the call, you don't have something right on the back end of that, another meeting or another client call, turn your webcam on. You can use with Microsoft or Apple, they've got a recorder. Simple as that. Record a personal message to them, thank them for being involved. Here's the questions I'm going to research. and look for a video from me with all the responses. Here's what's so cool about it, okay? When you do the actual, let's say you create a video with all the follow-on responses, trying to get those 7.5 people together for another follow-up meeting, because that's what traditionally happens, right? We'll follow up with another meeting and get back to you, and we'll show you and provide answers to all your questions. It's like taking a group of feral cats and herding them. Are you kidding? You can't get them all in a meeting again. But if you send a video and they all watch it, and you see when they're consuming it on their own schedule, and they appreciate that. Like, it lets them move faster. Think of the different experience you're delivering in their minds compared to the competitor that's still doing it the old-fashioned way from 30 years ago. Right? You just look completely different to them. And they are judging what their customer experience is going to be based upon what's happening in the sales process as well. So, same thing in client success. They're judging, do we switch vendors or not, based upon whether or not we're getting what we need for client success and whether they have a good experience with this. Did that answer?
Yeah.
More than you wanted it to, right? Just kidding. So, question is, are you Rule of 24 ready? As you sit today, you feel like you're Rule of 24 ready. So, you know how you have a Formula One race here? So, last night we went out to the Formula One track and made this video just for you guys. Are you ready? You guys ready? Okay. You have to ask yourself, are you showing up at the Formula One like this? You can't show up at a Formula One race in a scooter. That's what we've been doing with these sales processes forever. The buyers, their whole perspective, everything has changed. Even if, what's cool about it is even if they're not ready, like they're not used to it because nobody else is doing these kind of things with them in their buying processes, when you provide information to them in this fashion, it's incredibly refreshing. You look so different. It had nothing to do with how differentiating your product was or your services. Or, I'm not saying they aren't, they may be, but we're differentiating on a different level by being Rule of 24 ready. So one of the things that our team here in Singapore does is Rule of 24 assessments. Right? We'll ask you some questions and give you a report back of where you might want to put priorities. Maybe you know already. Right? And then they can help you with that implementation of that. So if you want to know more information about us, that is, I'm on LinkedIn, of course, under my name, my short name. The book is available at Amazon, but we have books for, I think, everybody here. We're pretty close. If we didn't, I promise I'll send you. And if you're interested, I'd love to take more of your questions now, and I'll certainly be happy to, if anybody's interested in signing a book, if you want that, we can do that as well. So with that, for the team here in Singapore, and again, for Verizon, thank you for hosting us. We truly appreciate it. And good luck with your Rule of 24 ratings. Thank you.
Thank you, Bob. Any questions, comments, thoughts?
I like that you ask questions along the way.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
I have one. After reading the book and listening to you today as well, there might be the impression that maybe Rule of 24 is more applicable to tech industries. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, thanks for asking that. I mean, I think my background's tech, obviously. And I think it is very applicable in tech. But my personal belief is it's incredibly applicable to anything that's complex. Anytime a B2B sale has any complexity to it, this is the kind of thing that happens in those events. It could be industrial controls, it could be airplanes, it could be heavy-duty construction equipment where you're trying to get a big contract. Could you take that example? Could you use video if you're selling heavy-duty construction equipment? Absolutely. Right? How differentiating would it be for them to click on a link and there's a video of how something actually operates, or how your service bay operates. So I think the concept of Rule of 24, it's here for all markets. You know, I mean, it's what, I mean, the epiphany was, my God, I won't buy anything anymore unless I research it, look at the reviews, and watch a video on it. And why do we think our, a B2B buyer is going to want anything different? You know, it was an epiphany.
Thanks.
Could you give us an example of what you've seen other people do, right? So that would be difficult first. Typically, you think about a product video that's done in a white messaging, either the language part, the language coverage, but what I get from what you're saying also is that nothing's stopping me in publishing a video of personal message to my customer or my internal customer itself. Now, if I was to put my video on YouTube and I say provide X for Y, it's probably going to be the other one because
Sure, absolutely.
It's in a field that it's not.
It has to be curated some in a corporation.
My question is, what other technique you see other people use in getting that personal message out, given this context of public sphere and messaging that may not resonate with two language from about 30%? What's the balance? What do you see other people? How do they use that?
Well, it's a great question because the whole internal compliance situation can be stifling for the opportunity to try new things and make them happen. Let me give you an example of one of our clients. Have you ever heard of a company called Dassault Industries? Dassault is they make airplanes, jets. They also have a software division that does 3D CAD, real high-end stuff. Designed probably anything complicated.
French.
Yeah.
French.
They're a French company, that's right. So they bought a company called SolidWorks, which is a high-end CAD product. So they had the same situation. Dassault France was very stifling on what they could do, couldn't do, that branding elements. So in their case, to get a demo video done, like a piece of the product, right, just a piece, it was taking them about 9 days. It took 9 days, not 11. It was 9 days, beginning to end, right? By the time they got the script written, they shot the video, it got marketing involved to do the post-production of the video, all the elements of it. It was taking 9 days. Okay. Each video was costing over $10,000. So I happen to have a relationship with the EVP of sales there because they've been applying for a long time. And he kind of did a skunk works, meaning he took it upon himself to put a little bit of personal capital at risk and hired us to train his people to build videos rapidly. So it went from 9 days to 2 hours from concept to post-production. And they still put the SolidWorks 3D kind of gyrating logo at the front end of the bumper and at the back end, but they put people on camera to do the opening context of that little demo. They did the demo, then they finished it up, so they got all this video done. They started sending it out to clients within the sales department. Marketing went crazy on them, and they showed immediate results. Like their events, they would host big events where they had roadshows, and the attendance at the events doubled because they were sending videos out of this is what we're going to preview at the event, and the engineers were showing up in droves. And it was a light bulb that went on in marketing. So now marketing and sales operations are very cooperative. Like marketing they finally understood their domain, if you will. What they need to have control over is potential clients that come to them via the web or via YouTube or something like that, where they're blind, they don't know who they are. They needed control over that and the messaging associated. But they needed sales to be able to use their subject matter experts to create rapid videos that really got the message across on the solutions. And they've had fantastic success with it. So it was almost by doing, taking a little bit of risk that they were able to accomplish that. Now, does that help you here? Probably not, but I think if you were to sponsor a meeting between what you're trying to accomplish in marketing and talk about some of the things that are involved in Rule of 24, we found marketing to be very cooperative. They definitely changed their perspective. So thank you for asking the question. Other questions?
Has there been any facts and figures around changing the approach and the results? When you showed some of the results from the survey, are there many other clients who are using this facts and figures that can be shared?
Yeah, using a combination of video with better virtual presentations.
Yeah, because it's predominantly changing the whole go-to-market approach, not just at the marketing level, but at the sales level, which obviously means changing their behavior. Not everybody is video savvy.
They aren't.
So you've got to
Nor do you want everybody on video.
So you've got to retrain them to be agile, video savvy, all that. So it's a whole agile change. That's what.
Yes, and in fact, to that point, in terms of a whole agile change, that's the purpose of kind of doing an assessment, even if you do your own. You can do your own assessment on this, but you don't change everything. You pick a piece. So, for example, yeah, there are a number of statistics that show how much video accelerates decisions. As an example, I didn't display them, but and how, and not just by us. Demand Gen has some great articles on the use of video. So does Wistia, so does Vidyard, a number of different firms have some great statistics on the video alone. But I can tell you that on virtual presentations and in person, when we work with clients on those elements, it's completely changing in terms of the impact and the effectiveness that they have. So, yeah, we do publish statistics on some of that as well.
I see a lot of potential for virtual presentation in training, in internal training, and it's not so much beyond the sales field.
Absolutely. Yeah, if you think of it, internal training and client success are very similar, in terms of what you're trying to do. In internal training, you're trying to get them to consume more of training so that they can be better at what they do. Same thing with client success. So a lot of similarities between those two, and taking different approaches to training are great. I'll give you an example. We do a lot of in-person trainings in Singapore and all over the world. We also do virtual trainings where we actually have the people do the learning via video lessons. And then we have them do presentations, and we coach over the web. And we make them get on camera, by the way, when they do those. And so we provide coaching in that. So it's sort of a different approach. We've just released our video on demand training, which is basically some people just want a snippet at a point in time right now on how to handle an objection better, because they just got killed in a meeting and they didn't handle objections very well. And they know they need to get better at it. So what's a 3-minute, a 5-minute lesson? People love that, especially if it's searchable and easy to find and quick. So it becomes getting top of mind with some of those pieces. So some of the strategies that we provide, different types of video, for example, for training, are in there as well. So, yeah.
Just in context of this, I'm just thinking, have you tried this with translations? I mean, I'm presenting to a Japanese client, English person, Chinese, Indonesian.
Yeah.
I think that's gonna.
In fact, all videos should be subtitled. Okay, all.
Or in the original language that you intend for the recipient.
Correct.
That's gonna help.
So let me answer that. We did a session for a client in Indonesia.
Right.
And while Indonesian script is very much like the English alphabet, you don't have to worry about special characters and everything else. There's a difference between using professional translation services, aka Google Translate, and street language, right? And we found, in the initial iteration of trying to do a video like this and communicating to some of the clients in Indonesian language,
Right.
despite the fact that a large majority of the audience were the millennials and younger, they still found it a bit difficult to follow the official, formal Google translated, machine translated taxonomy around the content we're delivering. But then a slight tweak where you're suddenly just bringing in a bit of colloquialism, you're bringing in a bit of slang, you're throwing in a few words, like in here in Singapore you might put in a Lao, Singlish or whatever that may be, but in the Indonesian context, suddenly we saw the level of engagement go from here to here in a very short amount of time. So you're right, even in a context like interacting with any Japanese clients or prospects, not only in the way you speak, not only in knowing the language, it's also in the way you sit. So you can't sit across from them. You might be sitting and doing a video, but in the video, if it's evident that you're sitting with a crossed leg like that, that's a no-no in Japan. So it is, and again, I think some parts of the book talk about some of these more specific focus to detail when you're interacting with different cultures and different business environments.
Yes, 2 points here. One of them is he's talking about authenticity.
Yeah.
People want it to be authentic. The problem with a lot of marketing videos is it's a professional voiceover, speaking the formal language, and it's just like, please stop, just hate me. I don't want to watch it anymore. They're just talking to you. It's authentic. The other is, speaks to how important it is in terms of developing content, that you can do it rapidly. You have to be quick and agile in creating content. If you have to do it in 7 languages, you better be pretty able to do it quickly. And don't worry about a couple of mistakes that are in it, or if you stumbled on your words a little bit. Don't be a perfectionist. You don't have to do 20 takes. I'll tell you one thing. Somebody's late in the buying cycle. Forget the sales cycle. Okay, just set that aside. They're late in their buying cycle. You can't get to the executive buyer. To his point, they're hidden. They're behind the curtain. So who sells the value of the project to the executive buyer? They're behind the curtain. And who expresses the value of it to them? Who's going to do it? Probably the sponsor, somebody on the, and so we're trusting them to do that, and we know how hard it is to deliver that value proposition. So what you can do is you record the value proposition. You can do 10 takes of this, hit it perfect. Put it in a video, ask your sponsor, would you mind sharing this with your executive? And in an email to them, and they watch it. Now it got delivered exactly the way you know it needs to be delivered to them. By the way, your sponsor is going to help you curate whether you got it right or not. And you didn't have to have a meeting with them. And they liked the fact that they didn't have to have a meeting with you. And yet they heard. Right? Things like this, it's a new game. And it's changing. And we've got to go with it. We can't keep pushing back on these people and go, well, no, I'm sorry. We didn't cover stage 8 in my sales process. I didn't check off this, and this yet. You know, it's like, what? You can't do that anymore.
What's your experience with retention and compliance of these people? So these are very much evidence of discussions that we're having. Is there a policy around these stuff that we need to retain them? Or we like the emails or like the conversations?
So I'm not
From
sure
a
I
governance
understand.
perspective, because you're talking to customers, you are talking about your products, you're having discussions on proposals or USP value props. Do customers retain them, these videos, save them, put it in a archiving or backup?
No, because you don't send them, you never send them a video. By the way, you can't send them a video.
So we just,
In the corporate world, that'll get grabbed by spam filters and destroyed. And your whole company will get blacklisted. So what you're actually doing is you're sending them a link. We recommend the link is actually behind an interesting image that they want to click on and watch it. Links will go through, as long as you aren't blacklisted. The link will go through, so when they click on the link, it takes them to an actual online player, and they watch it online. And you can't scrape it off or save it to your hard drive or anything like that. It's just played, and then you can have an expiration on it when you want it to not be available.
If you have something like that, any tips for how you then engage people to come back to you with any follow-up questions?
So the question is, how do you get people to, do I have any suggestions on how to get people to respond or react or
Yeah, so if
provide feedback to?
Exactly. If they watched that video and said, oh, that's interesting, could you tell me more about such and such? How do you make sure that it's routed to the right person as opposed to then having to go onto your website and then coming to some faceless, potted form that will get lost in the email?
Yeah, right. So in the video platform that we created, so we have a software platform that does this. Every salesperson, every user, every salesperson has the ability to create a unique call to action. So there's a button on there. You can call it feedback or contact me, but make it something personal because you're sending it to an individual. Like Steve, click here to contact me, right? And when they do that, it'll open up their email if you wanted it to be that, and it's already pre-addressed to you and ready to go. So there's a variety of ways to use that call to action button. You can put code behind it if you want, a number of things. But that's the best way to do it. That way it's easy for them to click and they don't have to search for their email, do anything else. They can just do it. All right. Thank you, everybody. I'm going to stick around for anybody who wants a book signed. And we've got more copies on the table here, so if you'd like one. We pretty much have to take one now. It's like, come on. You left without a book if you like an insult.
Well, thank you very much, and everyone, thank you for your time and your questions and comments. So, cake, coffee and tea, refreshments are all back there. Feel free to hang out, ask Bob, and interact with Bob or any one of us if you have any further questions or commentary. And yeah, again, really appreciate you taking the time out to come today. We hope to be able to interact with each and every one of you a bit more around this topic because, as you would have heard from Bob, quite a lot that we can talk about. But again, thank you for your time, and we look forward to seeing you guys.
Thanks for putting it together, Ronnie and Rita.
Yeah.